Hey everyone, so I'm going to be talking about the women's college basketball scoreboard game or update in these games. There's or 8 games actually. There's 4 women's NIT quarterfinals. The grade 8. There's 4 of the. There are 2 WBIT semifinals on ESPNU, and there are 2 NCAA Women's Championship games, one from Regional 2 in Albany in the Elite 8 and one from Regional 3 in Portland in the Elite 8 on ESPN, back-to-back. And then their back-to-back games of the WBT in Hinkle Fieldhouse. They will start at 2:30 Eastern and 5 Eastern, and they, I'm presuming, be played that time because of the women, because they have to change the court name. The court, I'm assuming they say NIT for the men's. They'll say use the WBIT logo for the women, so they have to change the court a little bit. If they have a special, if they place like the Butler logo on the main part of the court, with the logo like on the main part of the court, or if they just add like the WBIT logo. I mean, they could add it quick, but assuming they don't want it to run, pre-game, unless they do it like early, Anyways, so let's talk about it. So let's talk about the first one that comes up at 8:30 Eastern, 6:30 Mountain, 7:30 Central is Minnesota Wyoming, and that's because I'm a Minnesota fan, so it comes up first, the Minnesota games. But do I think Minnesota has a chance to win? I do. And yeah, it says 4.5. The spread is 4.5. It says open is 3.5. The spread is 4.5. What do I I mean, that's kind of fair. It seems kind of fair because Minnesota has, played decent. Again, in this women's AT, especially with Marbron and Sophie Hurt. However, Marbron injury has flared up a little bit, potentially. So, in practice, they were talking about it. I believe, like an article came out yesterday, I believe. We're seeing from like the Star Tribune that she may not play if her injury flares up. So we'll see. I mean, this would kind of be like especially when they under non-Plitz, especially doing this tournament with everyone healthy. And what can really be next year? Can they be like a WBIT team? Then can they be an NCAA tournament team maybe in year 3, or maybe were they going to be a WBIT team this year without and then this is just their consolation, maybe, who knows? But either way, I mean, it took 3 years for the men's coach to make the NIT tournament, to make the NIT, so maybe, but yeah, this is a really solid team. The Minnesota team is in. I would not be surprised, the only thing you have to is if there's transfers, like that's like I mean, I really don't see too many leaving. I really don't see people leaving under Don Plitzoit. Especially with those injuries you had this season. It's like an injury season. You had your best player out, so it's like kind of unfair, to say, And I mean, if you stuck through like Lindsay Wayne leaving, some of them did, so it's like, But I can see Minnesota. I could see Minnesota winning this game on the road. I could see it. Even though Mountain West is they were a decent Mountain West play, 11-7. Not amazing, but they were good, Good solid Mountain West program. In a competitive Mountain West league. Decent major league. Not like the premier mid-major league. I think the American is premier mid, or the Missouri Valley Conference. But the Mountain West is up there in mid-major leagues, though. In in like low major, mid-major. Not the power conferences in Big East, because Big East is power conference in basketball. So we have Penn State, Villanova. Penn State has been good. I mean, lately Penn State is favored, but Penn State has been good lately. But sometimes, they have had squeaked by good squads. They squeaked by a good George Mason team. They squeaked by a good Belmont team. So I don't know. I mean, so at Villanova though. Villanova beat VCU, a good VCU team by 15. Virginia, I mean, they got in because they beat a good St. Joseph's team. So I think Villanova could win this one. Even though so Illinois and Washington State. Yeah, I'm surprised Illinois got past like these three mid-major, like a good mid-major Missouri State team. 23-9 they're going in. Stony Brook was a really good team out of the Coastal Athletic Association. I'm surprised. They got by Stony Brook by 17. I am surprised. Because they beat only really mere good win is against Illinois or against Indiana home by 20. So it's like, so it's really their only significant win. I mean, they played they beat Michigan by 13. They only lost to Ohio State at home by 8. So it's like, they've had some they got blown by Michigan the first game. So it's like, So I don't know. I mean, Washington State though, it just played a tougher Pac-12 conference. Michigan or Washington State has. So I'd be surprised if that ends up kind of being a blowout, kind of not. But I wouldn't be super. Anyway, LSU. Yeah, LSU. I was going to come down to N. Iowa had a easier Sweet 16 game. But their Elite 8 game is going to be tough. And that's a rematch of the NCAA championship game, the women's basketball championship game from the 2022-23 season, or basically the 2023 championship game. A rematch of that. That's a good game. That is a good game. I really actually like that game. It's gonna be a fun game. And back and forth, it's gonna be competitive. I don't think neither team is gonna be able to get much of a lead. But, if one team does, maybe one team, goes out to a bigger run, then maybe, if one team can go out to a little bit of a run, sometime in that game, a little bit of a run, and, stop the other team one time, I think that would separate them. That could be a separator. We'll see. It doesn't need to be a big run, though. Maybe just a 5 or 6 or an 8. And then we have Vermont and Purdue. Both teams got byes in the women's NIT. They beat Niagara 60-63. They beat Colgate 65-55. And they beat now they're playing Purdue. Which, 12.5 points does seem kind of high. Favorite. Kind of high, though. Because, but they did beat Duquesne, a decent Duquesne team. 213 of the A10. Not the top of the A10. Not Richmond. Not VCU, St. Joe's, George Mason. Not the top of the top. But the 5th place team in the A10. So, we'll see. Maybe Purdue. But, Vermont did play close, though. They played their second round game a lot closer than they did their third round game against Colgate, though. They're Super 16. So, see if they're grade 8. I could see it being 12.5. The spread is. It says opens at 18.5, but I think the spread. Yeah, 12.5 seems a little more fair, though. But, because it is at home, Purdue is. But I also see Vermont could end up. I don't know if Vermont steals it. But I could definitely see, Vermont, making it a lot closer. You know, maybe either really late in the game it gets like that 10, 12 point margin, or I could see it, maybe on 3 throws late in the game, with a couple minutes left. But I think that could be pretty close though. That for most of it. Louisiana Monroe, and that's a Big Ten Network Plus, or FS1, FS2, or Big Ten Network, or maybe Big Ten Network Plus. Let's see here. We have Louisiana Monroe at Troy. Now this is a solid Sun Belt. This is a Sun Belt Conference match. Troy is favored by 9.5. They did play in the conference. Like, Troy won both times. Troy won at Louisiana Monroe by 11. They won at home by 4. So we'll see in the second matchup. It's the third matchup. Is it, or did they play in the conference tournament? No, they did not. So Troy is 15-3, but they got upset in the quarters. Troy did to Louisiana Monroe. They lost in the quarter though, but they had a big blowout win against Grambling. Played by 13 against Southern Miss in the conference. So let's see if they can win another conference match against Troy. The first one of the year, but win another conference matchup this season. But this one is in the WNIT, the Women's NIT Grade 8 to go to. There are some at times where in these postseason tournaments, whether it's NCAA tournament, they really try to avoid that. But WBIT, or the Women's NIT last year, there was like a Grade 8 matchup, I believe. Harvard and was it Harvard Columbia last year? I believe it was Harvard Columbia last year. They made it to. Both teams made it to Grade 8, so so we'll see. For Louisiana Monroe, they had to play 2 conference opponents. There could be still a possible, and then for 2 Big Ten teams on the right, 2 Big Ten teams are on the right side of the bracket. You have St. Louis and Wisconsin. That's it. It's 8 Eastern, 7 local. And Wisconsin's only favored by 4.5. That's not too surprising. Opens at 6.5, but spreads 4.5. That's kind of no surprise though. Southern, to get here, they had to upset Southern Illinois with a really good Southern Illinois team. And Southern Illinois just had that. They didn't have that bad fourth quarter, 25-7. It would have been just, even if they just had like a half deep, maybe they could have forced overtime and then, won in overtime. Maybe just took control of it in overtime. Or maybe, but yeah, that was upset. Then they beat Illinois State by 25, which is a little surprising that they won by 25. Yeah, they're a 5th place team in the Missouri Valley, but still, to win by 25, that's shocking. St. Louis was under 500 going into this tournament. They were 16-18 on the season. And they beat Central Arkansas. They beat a good. Northern Iowa is not the best team in the Missouri Valley, but they had a tough non-conference with a bunch of injuries. And they played good teams. So they played Syracuse, Vanderbilt, South Dakota. They were WB and a women's NIT team that made it to a Super 16, but still, they've been a solid team. Illinois State was so, or St. Louis was, or Northern Iowa is a solid team. St. Louis is at the top of the A10, but they did beat VCU though, so that says a lot though. Purdue Fort Wayne, though, is a decent Horizon League team. They're 3rd place. But that's because Cleveland State, Green Bay are near the tops of them, and they're in, so they're. But St. Louis I mean, St. Louis. I could see it being Wisconsin now on the road because you had to beat Purdue Wayne on the road by 4. So this could be like a one where it's they just Illinois State have like an off game. Seems like Illinois State just had an off game though. So I mean, because they were playing close though that first quarter, and then it got a little bit out of hand, and then that third quarter was close. Second quarter was pretty decently close. It was just a little bit of a run each quarter extra. A few more baskets made each quarter, and that was all the difference, except for that first quarter. And then Wisconsin just shot a lot better though, 51.6 and then 47.4 from 3. They just had an off shooting night. Illinois State did, it seems like. So I think Wisconsin, St. Louis could beat Wisconsin, but if Wisconsin wins, I think it's gonna be close. And then we'll have a Big Ten matchup, Purdue, Wisconsin. That's gonna be interesting, And UConn, USC. Connecticut is actually favored by 3.5. And that's kind of surprising that UConn opens at 3.5 and the spread is 3.5. That's kind of surprising though. UConn has had some losses, some win. Like lost NC State. They beat Maryland, a big blow team when they're ranked by 32. They lost UCA by 11. But they beat Kansas only by 8 though. They lost Texas by 12. They beat a good bit in Native Ball State by 27 though. They beat North Carolina by 12. Louisville by 24. They beat Marquette when they're ranked by 31. They beat Crane when they were ranked twice. And then they fell to Notre Dame by 15. They fell to South Carolina by 18. And they beat Crane by 20 when they're ranked second matchup. So it's like, I mean, you will see. I mean, I don't know though. It's kind of tough though. I don't know. I mean, Connecticut has had some losses where they're like big time games by by 10, 15 point by good margins. So it's like but maybe Penn State was the only loss that they're taking about. Maybe in their conference, they really haven't had some surprises or some surprises though. Like Utah by 20, maybe that's what it was. Maybe Washington, they lose to Washington by 3. Maybe that's the surprise though. Maybe maybe Arizona by 2. Utah they lost to by 6. So I don't know. Maybe they had some surprises. Maybe. So I don't know. I think USC actually has the better chance to win than UConn does. I don't know, but all these games are going to be exciting games. Should be exciting ones, especially I'm a Minnesota Gophers, so watching them in the WNONZNT tonight. They can't host the grade 8 due to conflict with at the school. But I think they could win. Minnesota could win. I don't know. It's gonna be close. I think Louisiana or Troy could be closer than the 9.5. That's a St. Wisconsin. Yeah, it could be about that 4 or 5 point margin. It could be. It's gonna be close. I see it being close, just because Wisconsin. They did have a play in Illinois State team that had an off shoe night though. You could see that though. They started having an off night and say after they got cold a little bit. Purdue maybe could blow them up, but I mean maybe late. We'll see. Minnesota. If Minnesota doesn't have Mara Braun playing due to flare up, a concern. Obviously they don't want to jeopardize playing. I mean, yes, they would love for Mara Braun to play in this tournament. Yes, but we'll see though. I mean, it should be a decent matchup.